With the second trailer now released, audiences have gotten a deeper look into the highly anticipated Fantastic Four First Steps. And among the beauty of the cinematography and the excitement of proper representation for these characters, I noticed a lot of foreshadowing. In fact, just exactly what I noticed has led me toward a path where I believe I know exactly what's going to happen not only in this movie, but Doomsday, Spider-Man 4, and Secret Wars. I'm so confident in this that I'm actually going to put a spoiler warning for this video. If you don't want these movies spoiled, click off now. You have been warned. But if you do want to stay and hear me out, buckle in because shit's about to get fantastic. So far in this latest phase for Marvel, there hasn't been a movie that has felt like a real heavy hitter. And what I mean by that is there hasn't been a movie like Guardians 1, Avengers 1, movies that really generally push the plot forward. And you could argue that technically Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was that movie, but with the removal of Jonathan Majors as Kang, it doesn't really serve a purpose anymore. This feeling has been felt through a lot of the fans over the last couple of years. These movies don't connect to one another. There's not really a connected story going on like there was in the previous phases of Marvel. And my first and most obvious prediction is that the Fantastic Four First Steps is going to fix this entirely. And while this is obvious, I think it's already been revealed how the Fantastic Four is going to connect all of these movies just by the second trailer. Hear me out. In this trailer, we learn that Sue Storm is pregnant, hence the First Steps little tagline subtitle. While this might seem like more of an insignificant detail, this will have major ramifications for the future of the MCU. Now, I'm sure that a lot of you already know where I'm going with this, especially if you've read the comics, but for those of you who don't know, Franklin Richards is the son of Sue and Reed Richards. And in the comics, Franklin is born with reality warping powers, the likes of which had never been seen before. It's also worth mentioning that Franklin was born as a mutant, and his powers categorize him as an Omega level mutant. Basically, that just means he's really powerful. All of this is to say that Franklin Richards is one of the most powerful beings in the multiverse. He has used his powers to create pocket dimensions, revive Celestials, and even restore the multiverse after the Incursion Crisis. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go ahead and start from the beginning. First off, let's go ahead and talk about Fantastic Four First Steps. I am 99% sure I've got this movie down to a T. I think I know exactly what's going to happen. First off, given everything we've seen in the trailers, I think that this movie is going to take place during the anniversary of the Fantastic Four getting their powers.
Wow, folks, we all know the story.
Based on all of the news reports and the latest trailer, how they're celebrating them, I think that they're well-established heroes within this universe, and we're going to get all of their backstory through these newsreels or interviews and things like that. Something similar was done back in the 90s with the Fantastic Four show. I also think while all these festivities are going on, Reed's going to be in the background just feeling really guilty about what happened. It's going to be very ever present in his mind, especially now that he's going to have a child that he'll be responsible for. I think he's just really feeling the guilt of it all, and he's been trying to find a way to cure them. And in order to cure them, he's probably going to be talking to someone across the multiverse. This has kind of been indicated through clips where we see his chalkboard, and in the latest trailer, he says that he stretched the fabric of time and space and they heard. So that's my assumption. He's going to be talking to someone through the multiverse, desperately trying to find a cure. As for who Reed is contacting, I'm 99% sure it's going to be Dr. Doom. And of course, this leads me to believe that the universe that the film takes place in doesn't have a Dr. Doom at all. Meaning, Reed will only really know him through the messages that he's been sending across the multiverse. And as for why Doom would be contacting an alternate Reed Richards, I think maybe he's trying to figure out multiversal travel, and he's already killed his Reed, and he doesn't know how to do it, so he's trying to get help. And this might seem out of character for Doom, but he is a man who will manipulate anybody and everybody to get what he wants, so it doesn't seem super out of character. But anyways, that was a side tangent. We're celebrating the Fantastic Four in this movie. During that, Reed is feeling guilty, talking to Dr. Doom throughout the multiverse, trying to find a cure for his family, when, Silver Surfer appears. Or, well, I should say the Watcher tries to shield the Earth from the Silver Surfer. That's pretty big, and then Silver Surfer comes through. You get it. You get what I'm trying to say. Now, I don't think that she appears because of what Reed had done, unlike what he says in the trailer. I think that he's just blaming himself, and it's just another way to show his guilt Like, I feel like Reed's going to be harboring a lot of guilt in this movie. Now, I also think that Reed is actually pretty close to a cure. And the reason being is because when the Silver Surfer asks, "Are you the protectors of this world?" Sue is the one to answer.
Are you the protectors of this world?
Yes, we are.
I might be wrong about that, but I feel like there's some solid evidence there. So after the world's been marked for death, I think the Fantastic Four travel to space to kind of get a better sense of what they're dealing with, and that's where they're going to meet Uatu, or the Watcher. Probably butchering that name, but that's fine. He's going to explain the whole Galactus dealio, just like he does in the comics and almost every form of media. No big surprise there. And then something is going to happen, which is going to cause their spaceship to like crash land on Earth. Because in the first trailer, we see them in space and it looks like, oh, maybe they're getting their powers for the first time, but I don't think so. I don't think that's the case. I'm 99% sure we're not going to really fully see that unless it's a flashback. Either the Silver Surfer interfered or Galactus entered the solar system. Something's going to fuck with their ship and they're going to fall back to the Earth. Sue's going to have to use her powers to save everyone, leaving her like really defeated. Like if you look in the trailer, she looks worse for wear. And with them on the ground, I believe Galactus is just going to absolutely decimate them. I don't think they're winning this fight at all. And then among the chaos, I think Franklin as a baby is going to accidentally use his powers to create a pocket dimension, not really understanding what he did. I think like Jack from The Incredibles. And in doing so, I think that'll be the straw that breaks the camel's back of incursion events that have been fucking with the multiverse the past like decade now. And that's going to cause the multiverse to collapse in on itself, leading us right into Avengers Doomsday. With the multiverse collapsing, I think we're going to see a lot of realities merge into one another, allowing us to see some familiar faces return, hence the X-Men being introduced in the chair announcement. I also think in this movie, we're going to be introduced to the Beyonders, a group of Celestials that live outside the bounds of the multiverse that try and keep it in line, but then decided to destroy the multiverse after the mutants basically got too powerful. It's a lot. I don't know if they're really going to do that, but I could see them doing something similar. They're either going to try and destroy it themselves or do what they did in the comics and send down the Molecular Man. I'm leaning more towards the Beyonders being the threat, just because I don't see them introducing another like subspecies of people for like the general audience. I think it's going to be confusing for people already to be like, why the fuck are the X-Men here when they haven't been in anything before? So they might not even do the Beyonders. Regardless, I think we're going to see the beginning of the incursion crisis in Doomsday. And at the end of it, we're going to see Dr. Doom take this opportunity and create Battle World, which will send us directly into Spider-Man 4. And yes, unfortunately, I do believe that Spider-Man 4 will take place on Battle World. It won't be a isolated, grounded Spider-Man story. It's going to be more like a stepping stone. So what else is new? Am I right? We will most likely see the symbiote, Tom Hardy, and a couple of other like familiar faces. I know that Tom Hardy had come out and said like, no, he's done. Not going to be Venom again. He's not going to share the screen with Tom Holland. I don't believe that. This would be the perfect time to do something like that. The biggest person that we're going to be introduced to in this movie is more than likely going to be Miles Morales, like the live action version of Miles Morales. We're probably going to get an introduction of him. It's going to be a story about them fighting their villains or coming together or something along those lines, or trying to find the remnants of the Avengers, which they will succeed in doing at the end. And then they'll unlock some kind of capsule, because in the comics, when Reed Richards, the Avengers, and some X-Men were thrust into this new world, they were put into a state of suspended stasis. They were found 8 years later, and they were like, what the fuck is going on? You know, so I believe that the Spider-Men are going to be the ones to find this capsule, release them, and be like, hey, there's been another big time jump. We got to figure out what the fuck's going on, and that's going to lead into Secret Wars. I think in Secret Wars, we'll see this new team lead a strike against Doom, trying to convince others to join their cause. Because if you don't know, in Secret Wars, everyone in Battle World kind of forgets about the previous multiverse and the previous universe. They just see Doom as an omnipotent god who created this to save them from some big threat, but they don't really know what that threat was or really like the ramifications of it all. So I think this movie is going to be chock full with the Avengers trying to convince other members to join. Like in some of the leaked concept arts we saw Hulk and She-Hulk just kind of like leading a life full of different Hulks on like a segment of the world. And then we see Pedro Pascal like on his knees in front of Doom with Doctor Strange as his right-hand man, essentially. You know what? Now that I think about it, in that leaked concept art, we see Star-Lord and the Young Avengers. So they will probably be some of the people who are like in stasis. It's probably not going to be too many mutants. It'll probably be more so like the Guardians, Vision, probably the Young Avengers are going to be in that. But anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. They're going to figure it out. And basically, I think how it's going to end is Reed Richards will find his son, who is now old enough to comprehend and use his powers, but doesn't really know that he has them. Convince him that he has powers, convince him that he's his son. Like Franklin Richards will essentially use his abilities to save the multiverse by reconstructing it and creating a new world for all of these heroes to go. And now they'll all live in like the Prime 616 universe together. No more having to do different realities and multiverses. Now the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and the Avengers all exist in the same universe. Yeah, so that's basically it. Whatever happens after that, I'm not super sure, but I'm pretty confident that's how these movies are going to go. And I know what you're thinking. That was a lot. That was a lot, especially just from 2 trailers. Well, I would argue 2 trailers and some concept art. And while I agree that I'm probably reaching as far as Mr. Fantastic on this, I still think that even though some details are probably going to change, this is more than likely how it's going to go. Given the fact that Kang is no longer the main villain and they have to do so much storytelling in such little time, they're probably going to follow the comics down to a stricter T than they have before. But now all we have to do is just wait and see. And in the meantime, I'd love to hear from all of you in the comments down below. Do you think my theory is a little insane, maybe a little bit out there, or do you agree with me? I'd love to have a discussion down there. I read all of the comments that are left in my video. So yeah, if you like this video, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, comment down below, share this video with your friends, and that's all I really have. So I'll see you guys next time, and thank you so much for watching.